Hello and welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott and we are here for the WWE Backlash Instant Reaction Review. It was a big PLE out there in France and we are here to break down all of the big moments right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, so as we said, it was a big show out there in France, and there is a lot to talk about. Now, some of the things that we thought might be the case with this show came true, as far as I guess we could say negatives, but then some of the things that we were hoping for, positive wise, I think came true as well. Overall, it was a good show. I've got I've got a sentence I want to pinpoint it to, but I'm going to get to in just a moment. But first of all, I want to know what you guys thought of the show. Bonjour, says Lodge Sports. Bonjour to you as well, mate. Great to have you with us. And a Critic Galaxy says that was the best crowd. It was an incredible crowd, and that's going to get into some of our points later on as well. Again, some of the things I do want to talk about. But yeah, great crowd. And I think that's the case when you go anywhere where we're kind of starved of a WWE PLE, if that makes sense. A critic says best crowd in ages. Yeah, again, I get where you're coming from, but is ages really that long when you think, like, not to big us up because obviously I'm from there, but London, Money in the Bank, that was a great crowd too. Puerto Rico last year, that was a great crowd too. Like WrestleMania, that was a good crowd too, you know. So like, I think WWE is getting lucky at the moment. They're getting some really good crowds. Slutters phenomenal. La, 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 la. Yeah. So, again, that's going to be a big part of our chat tonight. I think that the French crowd and the chants that they made. And in my opinion, the things that WWE kind of missed out on because of that. I want to know about the WrestleMania announcement. Yeah, that'll be coming up soon. A critic that is going to be announced like very soon, so stick with us on this channel because we're going to try and cover that as well. This is the instant reaction review to Backlash. We are going to go through every single one of the matches and all the big moments that happened tonight here as well. Hopefully going to be joined by a few of our kind of Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling co-hosts as well. And yeah, we're just going to go through it match by match, talk about the overall kind of feeling from the event as well. Again, the WWE Backlash press event is happening pretty much as we speak. It's getting underway as well. So hopefully we'll get some exciting news for WrestleMania. But let's not jump too far ahead with WrestleMania. Let's talk Backlash as well. Overall, I think it was a good show. It's difficult because I'll wait till like someone like Lucas or someone joins me in a bit, but like to bat this against. But I find it hard to really judge where it was as a show because it depends what the criteria is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's PLEs are different now because they are international. So while it makes a B show or a C show way more exciting, it also is just a C show in some ways, you know, card wise. So yeah, it's it's kind of hard to judge in some ways. So critics says they said to me announcement on a different show after Backlash. I think that's the post show. So it says, yeah, Kentucky Derby Backlash week tweets were made. Triple H responded. I had to come back from party to watch this. Why I wasn't here for the build. I had to come back to watch Backlash, and I feel I should have stayed to the party. Oh, Sludge, you didn't enjoy Backlash? Well, look, I'm glad you're here. I know, yeah, we missed you on the build-up. I saw you sent your messages in before we went live properly. I appreciate your support either way, mate. Yeah, it's it's interesting to hear that you don't feel as thrilled about Backlash like you should have said at the party. It depends when you got here and saw Backlash, because I think if you saw the last half of it, I would understand that, because it was very much, in my opinion, a very good house show. But the first half, no, I say half because the tag titles, which do matter, they are canon. It does matter. Happened in the end, towards the end of the show. But yeah, I thought that was enjoyable. Trying to see if we can get Lucas to join us. Here he is out there in Dubai. How you doing, Lucas?
Hi, yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah.
What's your general thoughts of the show, mate?
Very, very solid main event. Very
a fantastic match.
Yes.
If I was there in person for a house show.
It's weird. It's very odd, isn't it? I did see a post that someone did put up, and obviously, I think with every decision that goes on now, like we're going to see this quite a lot, but it is just such a non-Vince McMahon match. This,
yeah,
and I don't know yet whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, because the show as a whole just felt very house show, didn't it? It felt very by the numbers. You know, obviously there's going to be a come down post WrestleMania, because obviously all the kind of star names have gone, and people are using obviously this past WrestleMania as the kind of, you know, closing of that chapter essentially.
Yeah,
you know, from that era. And it is like, you know, we've gone from obviously the Bloodline being headlined up by obviously Roman Reigns with the championship, with Jimmy Uso and the Usos feuding, you know, as part of it, to now obviously going down the line with obviously Tama Tonga and Sikoa and the other one showed up tonight. Then same thing for the women's division. Obviously we had Rhea Ripley as the dominant champion for a long time, and you know, we had Io Sky. Fair enough, she wasn't doing that much, but still had, you know, Io Sky Damage Control feeling like a big deal. And now it seems Damage Control pretty much they've got to split up now. Yeah. We have to do. And obviously, you know, don't get me wrong, I think actually that's been that change made sense, but it's very interesting. I think having a good wrestling match as the main event, it just feels very weird to WWE. And obviously we spoke about it before, you know, in our brief chat before the show, about some of the rumours that had kind of been rumoured and nothing kind of happened. You know, it's a case of, are they saving it for another day, or is it just stuff, you know, we as fans are kind of just trying to we're working ourselves into, essentially, like, you know, maybe Bianca and Jade are just going to be a tag team.
Well, I mean, I think the big things we were thinking as far as surprises go, for me personally, and again, we mentioned them on the build-up, was potentially Jade turning, but if not, winning the titles, which did happen, to be fair. So that was a moment. Cena arriving, which does nothing for the storyline, but would have been a good pop. Didn't happen, but fair enough. And then a new member of the Bloodline, and we did get that, to be fair. So it was a very weird show. It's hard to judge a show like this because I think they're banking very much on everything being fresh and exciting. We're in Lyon, France, which is Lyon, by the way.
And I don't know why it kept annoying me when Cole was like, we're in the third biggest city. It's not really something to say, is it?
It's not, is it? Yeah. And they kept going, and we're not that far from Paris. Stop saying that. That doesn't help.
Really want to be there, essentially. I think that is their hint to be like, we actually want to be in Paris, but you know,
that's ridiculous.
Money, so we couldn't find it.
Yeah. But I like the French side of things tonight. The presentation, like the crowd and whatever.
I think, to go back to your point though about don't know how to feel yet, I think it's a bit premature. We need to kind of see, in fairness, how not so much King and Queen of the Ring go, I guess, because Saudi, and they get obviously a bigger deal just because we established before they pay much more money than any of these other countries probably combined will pay for it. But definitely how Clash, you know, like if Clash is another 5-match card with, you know, essentially the matches that are quite predictable on them, and you know, no little surprise elements to them, then I think we know, okay, they are basically tiering these shows, and which could be a good thing, but could be a bad thing. Like we don't know yet. I think a lot of this era now we're in uncharted territory. You know, we're really in it, and it is Triple H putting his stamp on things. Like someone did mention to me that tonight did feel almost like almost felt like how Triple H ran NXT, back in the day. He kind of he went through his checkbox. He knew he had to get the women on, he knew to get a tag team match, he knew he had to get his indie main event, and he knew he needed to spotlight new stars. And you had that model just around a normal WWE pay-per-view. And obviously for someone like myself and maybe yourself and other people, some older fans potentially, we're used to seeing those spots, but with different wrestlers or like a different kind of way of doing those spots. Like obviously we're not used to the main event of a pay-per-view just being the good wrestling match. It's meant to be the big return or the big sports entertainment moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what we're kind of playing on for. Like years of past would be where, Brock Lesnar would return on Monday Night Raw, and then he'd be the main event on the next show, or they'd have, even if Sheamus came back, didn't he, on that spot? Sheamus would come back and he'd bro kick Damian Priest, and that would be the main event. You know what I mean? Like we'd have something there. Whereas this one is just good wrestling match. We're going last, and obviously they tie some of it in with the Rhodes story, obviously, and it's nice, obviously, having that mention of the NWA, championship and Dusty Rhodes and stuff. And, we knew this, but Cody Rhodes is Dusty Rhodes' child.
Really?
Little known fact. Cody never speaks about it. Kind of ashamed of his father, it seems. No, I mean, but no, I think it'll be interesting. Yeah, for me, I think it is just we need to see how they treat Clash at the Castle, and particularly how they treat Clash at the Castle with obviously the rumoured of the low ticket sales that have been going on recently. Like, you have to imagine that, in my opinion, I think they'd be very daft to try this 5-match card thing again. Like, if the ticket sales don't improve, definitely as we get close to the event. But yeah, those are some of my thoughts.
Yeah, I think you've got a great point there as far as looking forward into these international PLEs and what they're doing with them, because this one, again, as we were saying in the build-up, it's Backlash. The draft's in a way. It's a confusing time and whatever else. But then we've got a Saudi show, which is, hit and miss, glorified house show as well, but has been canon in recent years. And then you've got after that is that the one up straight after that? Is Clash straight after the Saudi show then? Yeah, so so at that point we're gonna need more. There's gonna need to be a new direction leading towards SummerSlam, really, and Bash in Berlin as well, of course, as well. But like, they're risking putting themselves in a bad position where they just rely on, we haven't been here for a PLE and the fans are crazy. Like, that's all well and good, but then you need to take advantage of that as well. And even with tonight, like the two main chants, right? Basically there was, I'm not going to butcher in French, but it was two, it was nearly two, it was only two even. It's basically what they're saying. That's what they were saying on the 2 count. They're going to chant on it because that's their French announcers were making that was their like famous catchphrase, right? But the WWE never explained that. Like, that is something that X explained last night, right? No one in WWE said that. And then tonight, the song they kept singing is a song that mentions the word phenomenal. That's why they sang during AJ Styles' match. And then they kept singing it when he was on offense. But yesterday, fair enough, the man didn't know. He doesn't speak French. He walked off thinking, I'm doing the heel thing. I don't know if you saw the kickoff show that they did live outside the arena. He walked off. And it was like they were literally singing in your praise, technically, because they're saying phenomenal. But there is not enough research done into this. And I'm sorry, like, I know these chants happen quickly. Like, when was that Money in the Bank when they did just sold my car to Santos Escobar, right? That's like a mixture of an advert into a football chant that became a wrestling chant, like somewhat quickly, right? Maybe wasn't there when they had last come to England, but this chant, these 2 chants, would have been there surely the last time they came to France. So why is no one said to WWE behind the scenes, look, this is a chant they're probably going to say, you should refer to it? Because I found it really confusing again, I had to do my own research, look it up online to figure out what's going on and be in on the joke, right? And it's weird enough when we do it in England, right? And it's in the same language. It's a different culture. It's the same language, at least. With this, I just felt like WWE really missed a trick by not kind of jumping on that chant, being ready for both of those chants, and that's what I mean about these like PLE shows being a risky thing at the moment. Like they've got this incredible aura around them because they are the first ever, and people are traveling not just to from Lyon, but from Paris, from probably Germany and maybe Spain, or even from the UK, trying to get there to be there for a European PLE. And that will die down as time goes on because we all realize, hold on, we're all getting them. We don't have to travel, sort of thing. But at the same time, like this is still for that city the first time they're getting a PLE, or maybe still that country the first time they're getting a PLE. And they're kind of banking on that too much with these short 5-match cards and not doing much to progress the storyline. I think they were very lucky that the fan, like, if you put this show in, and I don't mean this in a bad way, right? If you put this in, let's just pick give me a random place in America, Lucas. I'm going to put this on you.
New York.
Oh, no, New York will probably do well. Let's say somewhere else, because New York crowds are always on fire. But let's just say somewhere else. Not New York, not Chicago, right? Come on.
Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, sorry about that, Colorado. But yeah, like, let's be real. But at the same time, when you look back on these kind of shows in history, that's kind of what they were. Like, we did used to get Backlash in some random town who kind of saw Raw 6 months ago and it's not that important with a bad card. Of course, they're not going to get excited. And then we'd get TLC in a similar town with a similar kind of history as far as when they last saw a show and not an exciting card. It was kind of like that all the time. But because they've become special in being in a location, they've kind of, I don't want to say overhype these events, but I think we have to really realize what they are. Like, it's still Backlash. You know what I mean? Like, it's still Backlash. I think it was weird because London got Money in the Bank. London got like the unofficial 5th big show. Do you know what I mean? I mean, King of the Ring used to be number 5, didn't it? But Money in the Bank is, in my opinion, number 5 now. So London got the biggest outside of the top 4. But the rest of them, I mean, they are just getting your regular B/C show. So should we not just be viewing this as it is just a B/C show?
I think the bigger answer, though, is the fact that they have just shifted the way they do pay-per-views since the days like, when WrestleMania London obviously has been discussed for many years. I'm sure as teenagers, kids, or whatever, you used to discuss it all the time. But obviously, even when you were discussing stuff, pre-COVID, like 2019, let's say, and you're thinking, okay, they're going to do a pay-per-view in UK, it's going to be this, this, and this. But that has now shifted. And I think it was shifting even during the tenure of Vince McMahon, but it's fully shifted now to the model they've got now. Obviously, with the sponsors and the UFC and Endeavour getting there, they've definitely got their hands on it quite a lot of that production, particularly the presentation of the championship matches. That is it's very like real fight, isn't it? It's very like, they're after that kind of feel, and it's working in my opinion. But I think ultimately now people know that you don't get the shows the way you used to in terms of pay-per-views. Like WWE just do less matches on them. Like it's just a known fact. And even if we go back to the original Clash at the Castle, that was a 6-match card. I think 1 match on the pre-show, wasn't it? I think, and so in the nicest possible way, I think that fans, and no matter where you are, would know that if WWE are coming to town with those kind of pay-per-views, this is kind of what you're getting. And like I said, it's still to be proven, because obviously if we look at particularly the last couple of years, or the main last couple of years of Vince's tenure, and obviously look at the fact that, fair enough, even if we dismiss COVID, it's been one of them, but there was a number of pay-per-views that had like multiple matches on them, and people were still unhappy back then about booking, whatever. But you knew when they came to town, essentially, you was always going to be seeing like a long list of wrestlers, and I mean, I'm willing to say, you can go back to. Let's pick a random event. What was that? It was something called Stomping Grounds, wasn't it? Stomping Grounds, 2019, I think. Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at the card. No, I mean serious. Like, I think this was sum up. So this was a card that existed. Yeah, here we are. Had 9 matches on it. 1 in the pre-show.
Wow, 9 matches.
Yeah, you was able to see Cruiserweight Championship on the pre-show. Then you had the Raw and Women's Championship on first. You had a tag team match between Owens and Zayn, the New Day. US title match. Another WWE Tag Team Championship match. SmackDown Women's Championship. Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon.
Of course.
WWE Championship in a steel cage. And then Seth Rollins and Corbin in a no DQ match at the main event. Like that was, and that was what you got, you know. And the last three of those all went over 15 minutes long, and most of the other matches are about 10 minutes, you know, including the one on the pre-show.
I mean, that is definitely overkill, and I see a benefit in the 5-match, 6-match formula. I think it just made a bit more, maybe not made a bit more sense. That might be harsh to say, but like it felt not as bad when it was still in the States. I think when it comes to these non-US shows, it feels like they're being shafted. Well, maybe they're not. Maybe that is just a new formula. But you look at that show, like I don't remember. I'll be honest, I don't remember any of that.
So a little bit while going through the card.
It clearly didn't matter. Whereas this show, in contrast, while it might have felt like a bit of a glorified house show at times, I will remember this show.
Yeah. I think the international pay-per-views all have like a special feel to them, mainly the crowd. But I think even if you look at Money in the Bank in London, it kind of has this unique kind of aura about it. You know, it feels like it was the brink of a historic moment. And obviously, only time will tell if ultimately we get our WrestleMania or if we get our big pay-per-view or bigger pay-per-view than Money in the Bank, essentially. Yeah. So you're dictating, based on your logic and most fans' logic and even mine as well, I think we're dictating that we are needing to have a Survivor Series, a SummerSlam, a Rumble, or a WrestleMania. All 4 in 1 year. That'd be good. You know, we got 4.
Why not?
We've got 4 nations, isn't it? You know, give one
true.
But I think but only time will tell essentially. But it is interesting because particularly for the UK, and it's maybe a longer pod to be fair to discuss it, but I guess the UK obviously we for a number of years had UK only pay-per-view events. International fans, you can find them on the network. Rebellion, Insurrection, 2 of the main ones that existed, and these were mainly, as far as I'm concerned, they were only actually streamed to us on the most part. I think the USA maybe got them on DVD release a bit later on, or
because we had the same thing when Australia had a show and we only got on DVD. I can't remember what it was called, in like 2002, 2003.
Oh, what's it called? It's on DVD as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called now.
But it was the same sort of thing.
Wasn't it the show that Nathan Jones quit at, didn't they? The tour he quit on.
The whole reason why it was there in the first place.
Well, yeah, I know.
What was it called?
Oh my god, it was actually quite a good tour as well. But yeah, I mean that's bonkers as well to think the talent they had on that tour, you know, over 20 years ago. But I think Nathan Jones, he kind of admitted that being back in Australia made him realise that he didn't want to be a WWE superstar anymore. No, in the sense of
that is not what they wanted, though, you know.
No, I think he said that he realised that he didn't want to travel basically around the world.
Yeah,
he was happy just doing it in his home country. You know, fair enough to him. But I think he retired after that. So maybe
was it the global warning?
That's it, global warming.
That's it. There we go. There we go.
But yeah, I mean, and then we went to obviously having live Raws here for a long time. That was joined by SmackDown, and then they doubled up throughout the years. But I think, and then NXT came over for a takeover. Even that was weird. Like I think there needs to be a documentary about this really, because they seem to keep wanting to give us like false little hope. Like NXT had the takeover here in Wembley, not the stadium, obviously.
At the arena, a fantastic show, by the way.
Yeah, brilliant show. Still one of NXT's best cards, I think.
Yeah,
in my opinion. But anyway, probably another pod for that as well. But anyway, I'm getting to the point where NXT, you know, takeover was that 2015 in London.
Yeah, 2014.
I think even then you had people going, "Oh, there should be like a WWE main pay-per-view." They sidetracked and went with NXT UK. Then started doing NXT UK takeovers, and then again, like you have the whole, you know, NXT one of the takeovers, the crowd chanting, "Are you watching Vince McMahon? Vince McMahon or someone who managed his Twitter account at least, saying that yes, he was watching. He was watching.
He was.
He was not watching. He'd be too busy to watch. But yeah, and then you had all that, and then there was that build there, and then we eventually got Clash at the Castle.
Yeah,
that was an interesting one because it was kind of everything we wanted, but not in a weird way. I think because people were so fixated on it being, people wanted the 30 years since Wembley and SummerSlam, blah blah, and people wanted it to be SummerSlam, and people wanted it to be in London and at Wembley, and all those things haven't really aligned to make it happen yet. And we've now passed the 30 years, and it's like, again, this might even be how WWE are thinking. Like, do they wait to 35 years or even 40 years, and then return it to London? And then with AEW now in the mix, obviously having Wembley, is there room for like 2 massive stadium shows in London within if we do Mania? Even if they push it, they could bring it forward, they can bring it back. I don't know what they do with it, but you're still only leaving like 3 or 4 months, aren't you? Like between massive, headline pay-per-views. Or do WWE, they stay with the money of Romania in particular, and obviously stay in the States, keep it safe for a few years, let AEW maybe all in. We'll see how this next all in goes, obviously. But they have apparently shifted 45,000 tickets, I believe, so far. So
already, well, I don't think.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say it's probably not going to go away.
Yeah.
Or do they have to admit, look, Wembley's just not going to happen? And maybe look to reach out to, I think this probably hurts you, I guess, but I think Tottenham's probably the best stadium to do it at.
Yeah, as an Arsenal fan, it doesn't sound good, but I get what you mean. I mean, this is the thing about London alone. We've got a few good outdoor venues. As Dan always brings up, though, not with any roofs. That might be the issue. But then again, look, if people can freeze in Philadelphia, they can freeze in London. Do you know what I mean? So let me quickly get to some of these comments, by the way. So obviously, we're still waiting for this announcement about WrestleMania. Hopefully, that's going to be coming through soon. I mean, it looks like it's probably going to be an announcement of the location. And it looks like, let's be honest, it's probably going to be Vegas. But we'll see how that goes.
Surprised they didn't announce it. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe during the show? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just to get more social media interactions or something like that. Saying Triple H responded to these backlash tweets. Such as I came back from the party, that's why I was here. Oh, yeah. So we got to this earlier on, and you arrived, you said, during the Owens and Orton match. So from the start, to be fair, that was a really good match. We'll get to that in just a moment. A critic says they're definitely trying to bring more PDs relevant, including Mania. We'll see how they go in Mania. I don't think it's anytime soon, but I get, let's also remember W Wrestling Awards in different places. Main event reminded me of Seth versus Edge at SummerSlam. Can we just talk about how good King of the Ring matches look? Yeah, King of the Ring looks fantastic. We said this in the group chat, didn't we, Lucas? It looks really cool to finally get these kind of qualifying matches outside of that as well. Looks like they're going to start on Raw. Should have been in Rhode Island. Right, so... yeah, let's just get into some of the kind of moments on this match, on this card itself, then, Lucas. Is there anything that kind of you particularly want to talk about, first of all? Anything that really kind of screams out to you?
I think something I did mention in the chat I mentioned, obviously, it was a really good way to start the show, I think. Starting very hot with that. And you'd have to imagine that call was made for the street fight, which I'll talk about what became the street fight. Between the Bloodline and Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, and it did feel like maybe that's something that they did change. It didn't feel like this would happen, but it was a very hot way to start the pay-per-view. I think very hot way, and I did something I did say, and maybe we discuss now, and maybe people in the comments if they want to think, it is actually a good advert for not having a pre-show match. I think if you're starting this hot. With everyone in their seat where they're meant to be, and not wandering around, buying merchandise and drinks and all that kind of stuff. I think that's a good reason not to have a pre-show match, in my opinion. But I thought it was a very good way to, argument went a little long, the whole brawling element, and there's a lot of brawling on the outside. This whole card seems to be a lot of that kind of every card now. Seems the ring might be optional to some people, but I did think, but it's genuinely like fun watching Randy Orton wrestle now. Like, I think he's reached that point where, you know, we all know any give and take, like he's the guy that they could put back in the main event. But for now, he's happy just being able to do it. And, you know, I've said this, I think in one of the videos, said, like, people like Randy Orton, we've got to remember, like, there are less days in front of him, less matches in front of him than are behind him. Like, and it's quite a lot, like quite a lot. And we don't know, like, and each time he comes out, the reception he gets, it's so raucous, it's so appreciative, because we don't know, like, are we watching, is it going to be 2 more matches?
Yeah.
You know, 10, 20, 30, you know, like, we don't know, you know, and it's really good seeing him like this, because I think I've been a Randy Orton fan for a number of years, and, you know, he's had a lot of criticisms for several things he's done behavior-wise, and his attitude with the business and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's finally reached a point where he's really happy. He's happy with what he's doing. And I think that shows in the matches, like, quite a lot. Obviously, the result here, you know, this is one where I'm just like, another Bloodline member. And, you know, looking at the 3 stables that were featured here tonight, I am just thinking, I think they're all at the end of the line now, end of the road. I think in terms of Bloodline, in terms of Judgment Day, and in terms of Damage Control, I think Bloodline might need to change its name potentially, because I think not having the Usos there, not having Roman there, and The Rock's not there either, like, it's kind of not Bloodline-esque anymore, in my opinion. It's a bit like when NWO had, like, NWO, like, 2000, NWO Hollywood and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you got, like, mid-carders replacing the main event guys. That's kind of how it feels like. And, you know, Paul Heyman is part of it. So I guess, you know, if anyone can bring it back on track, I think he can.
Yeah.
But I think it is just, for me, a bit below kind of what it once was. And I don't know how I feel about another member just showing up. You know, another member who's not even been in WWE before as well.
I see. For me, I take it on the side of, like, it kind of needed to happen, because Bloodline was so up and down the past 2 years. Yes, it was the best storyline in recent history, but at the same time, there was some dross in it as well. But and that's the problem. I think we're looking at it in that kind of, you know, set of eyes of, like, oh, like, this might just fall off. But at the same time, like, it needed a bit of refreshment, and I think it got that with, like, eventually Solo was going to take over, right?
Yeah.
But I think what's kind of gone against it is that Jimmy is injured, so they had to do their kind of beat him up, kick him out thing. Jay's not within it anyway, and that's already a million weird storylines back and forth about whether or not he likes Roman or not. And then it kind of dampens what we're currently getting. But I do think if you look at what we're currently getting on its own, it is very good. I agree with you that it kind of, presentation-wise, was a bit of a concern, because you look at, like, WrestleMania, they're the final act, they're the most important thing over 2 nights. On this show, they're opening. Like, this match, I thought this match was fantastic. I thought it was really entertaining. Like you say with Randy Orton, I think this is the crowd he deserves, and he's kind of, you know, let's say a farewell tour, whether it lasts for 6 months or 4 years, I don't know. But, like, he deserves this sort of reception, and it's really good for him to get. But it was a fantastic match, but it felt like the match that you get once this team's already established and then not established. They gave too much to the other guys. And yes, they're the baby faces, and he is a legend in Randy Orton. Kevin Owens is great as well. But, like, I felt like they gave too much, and they needed saving, which, again, I felt like there was going to be a new member. Tangaloa joining, I think, is fantastic. The Guerrillas of Destiny, like, fantastic team in New Japan. Really excited to see them. But I get what you're saying. Like, if you're, like, just watching WWE on the surface, and Roman's gone and this team's been belittled into Solo, who only joined a few months ago, and a guy that you may not be aware of, Tama Tonga, and now another guy you don't know of either, it feels like this is the kind of, like, B team for the Bloodline, which is a very dangerous way for them to book. But at the same time, if you showed me a year ago that, you know, God are with Solo, I'd be like, wicked. Like, this is sick. Like, but it was just set up in a very disjointed way, so it's hard to tell.
I think, obviously, this is where, again, I mean, Triple H is probably going to go on and talk about this, you know, in one of his many press conferences and stuff. and we'll kind of pretend this is. He always says it was always the plan. It was always the plan for Roman to lose and then Jimmy to get injured this exact moment. So he could... No, I injured.
I hope he was fine. I thought I can't be over that.
But yeah, I think it's hard because they're trying to use a pay-per-view spot to get this all to work, and it's one of those where you've already got other stuff that could benefit from pay-per-view time. Like I can't remember who said this, but TV time in WWE is like currency. It's like it's honestly, it's obviously what you earn your money off of, and it's a bit like, people know if you're not on pay-per-view, you're not on TV. So if you're not on TV, you're not on pay-per-view. If you're not on pay-per-view, you're not going to earn a lot of money, or the most amount that you can. And I think there's other people that could have used that spot per se. It was a very solid match, good opener, good way to start the show, though, in saying that. And I guess it is one of those where we are going to have to wait till next month or Clash or whatever to see kind of what goes down. I must admit, Tamatonga looked a bit lost out there to an extent. Like, I guess obviously with all these guys coming in, obviously from New Japan, they're learning a new style and a new way of doing things. But I think ultimately, we are going to be seeing obviously a lot more of this going forward, and it'd be interesting seeing kind of what happens next. Obviously now that there's yet another new member that will have to now prove himself. I guess they are just maybe filling time till they get to obviously The Rock.
And Roman's, big bad return as the kind of cool Roman, but surely a babyface to go against the old bloodline or the new bloodline. Like that's surely where they're going anyway. So
I foresee The Rock coming back, challenging Cody, that going down. The Rock leading the faction. I think The Rock, depending on obviously his commitment levels he can give, though I'd argue, to be fair, with someone like The Rock, just having him even like once a month or so, like that's enough. Like even if they do a couple of things via satellite and stuff, and he only appears one, he only has to appear at the pay-per-views. I think that could also work to keep it going, because they are now just killing time until next year's WrestleMania, where I think we're all kind of in agreement we are going to be seeing Roman Reigns and The Rock, go one-on-one next year, which again might be why they're going to still delaying this announcement of the location potentially.
Well, so apparently Triple H has just said on the stream that, like you said about a week ago, about talking to the London mayor about WrestleMania. That's what he said so far, which is crazy because that was just put out very recently. And he's also said that this is going out for the Kentucky Derby, as they say, which is a race, right? But what's that? I don't understand what that's got to do with WrestleMania just yet. So they haven't actually said where it's going to. Would that kind of mean it's going to be in the same location? Is that what we're saying there? And why is he talking about? I guess, look, if doesn't matter what your politics are, but doesn't matter who's the London mayor. If the London mayor says something about WrestleMania, you're going to jump on it, right? As WWE. So I understand that.
The Kentucky Derby was today.
So that's happened. That's on their like pre-show. So that's in Kentucky, right? Like Louisville, right? So like, is it going to be there? Like, why are they doing that now?
Or is he referring to, obviously that Sadiq Khan has just won the mayor election, hasn't he?
Yeah, but like
in a race again, in like a one-sided race essentially against the Conservative candidate.
No, but it's on the pre-show to the Kentucky Derby.
What do you mean it's
like this announcement apparently is on that?
Oh. Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, so it's in America then, like definitely. Like 100% in America, and now we then open up Louisville, Kentucky, or some sort of country bumpkin.
They've said nothing yet, though. That's the thing. They've said nothing, so I don't get what is this announcement. I don't know. We'll try and keep up with
the
it.
Kentucky Derby is in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, and it happens there all the time, doesn't it? It's not one of those
it's named after the place. So like, what's the
then? I mean, I'm guessing if you take the Kentucky out of it, it is no different from something getting announced over here in the FA Cup final, for example. We know it's
Wembley.
I
guess.
Wembley FA Cup final.
Yeah, I guess so. It doesn't mean
and I guess it is just the fact that it's a very American thing, isn't it? But
True.
my take on it would be then that it's going to be one of those like southern states. Then it's going to be one of those hillbilly states.
Yeah.
Surely it'd be weird them announcing like New York or Las Vegas in like the Kentucky Derby. Like surely they could, because those locations have like thousands of events they could announce that.
Right.
I don't know why they.
I mean, to be fair, I've just checked, and Triple H, apparently the quote is that he said, "Our friend in London, Mayor Khan, was re-elected tonight. We should talk." Like, that is definitely not about next year. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, and we've talked about this a few times, haven't we, Lucas, on this channel, about whether or not WrestleMania, even as Londoners, I still think, I'm not going to say WrestleMania shouldn't be here, but like business-wise, it doesn't need to be here. Just like, as you said, All In is massive. And it ain't got a WrestleMania tag, you know. So like it kind of is. WWE could come in for a stadium show in the first place.
I think someone in one of the comments did say they are testing the waters. I can't remember who did say that, but thank you for saying that, because put this thought in mind. But I think they are testing the waters of all these things, and it is. I think with every international PLE that we see going forward, we're going to see them adjust. We're going to see them shake things up, and so that's why I am thinking, Clash. Are they going to change his formula up a bit? Because they're seeing, okay, the French really like the 5 matches, but that was an event we sold loads of tickets for ages ago. Yeah. This one, Glasgow.
Can't do that again. And it's smaller as well. It's a smaller venue. And the prices, let's be honest, the prices are mad.
Obviously, the UK we are suffering from a massive cost of living crisis, and obviously, again, we need to keep politics aside for these kind of things, but there is a real uncertain unrest about obviously how politically we're going to go forward with multiple different things, and I think that's adding to this. And I think sadly with this, the location isn't helping it either.
Yeah, because to get there is insane on a train. Yeah. As much as that rhymes and sounds good, it's not good in real life. Like we were talking, weren't we, off air about like hotels and stuff like that? And you've paid less to go out to Dubai.
It's crazy. I've seen people dropping, $1,000, $2,000 on tickets.
Yeah, mad.
Like that, and that's just tickets. And then you got to think about getting there, hotels, and, all this kind of stuff. It's in a really. And this is the thing, like, I guess, always comes up with these things, like, when Eurovision was in Liverpool, was it last year, when we had to look for Ukraine? In the comments of this thing, there's a lot of people saying it should be in London. And you're always going to have that because London is the capital city. Yeah. It's the easier hub to get to. But, Eurovision and other events have decided in recent years, look, no, we're not going to go do London. We're going to do X city, so obviously you have Manchester get certain things, Liverpool and Birmingham, now obviously placed in Scotland. But I do think it's hurting them a lot. Like I think the London money that exists, more of us.
But then again, that's why they go elsewhere. That's why they went to Cardiff. It was they get more out of it. It would seem or had to put more into it. Because but the thing is, you put a good card on.
If not. Sorry, but you think Cardiff, though, not selling as much as they wanted, potentially frightened them a little bit? Because, they were expecting to sell out, weren't they?
And it was but I think they were banking on, like you say, the near 30th anniversary type talk from SummerSlam 92. Like, that was whereas, and it was the first, major PLE outside of North American ages, so
it was just after COVID,
or like PLE at least, so, and it was a new PLE, so we couldn't compare it to anything else. Clash felt like an unknown, and the card was a bit confusing at times, but whereas this, we're getting to this very much, as you say, these 5 match cards where we're kind of like you put this in Glasgow, and it'll be just like a decent show, but you put Glasgow could sell out a stadium if you gave it a good card with a good build. Don't get me Glasgow alone, and Scotland alone. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't need people traveling from around Europe or England from England or anything like that. But that's not what we're getting because, as you say, they are like thick and fast. You know, within 8 weeks, we've got about 3 of them. You know, so
yeah, it feels weird. It feels like that period when they first redid the brand split in 2016, and they went a bit bonkers, didn't they? Giving Raw and SmackDown split pay-per-views, and it just felt like there's a pay-per-view like every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and then around that, you still had the dual brand events like Survivor Series and the Rumble, and it just was impossible to keep up with all this kind of stuff going on. And I think while it's good they've got kind of different, they've got their gimmick, obviously, of King Queen of the Ring going. It just is a case of it makes it very difficult because they're gonna have to obviously get, and which obviously someone mentioned as well in the comments earlier about the King of the Ring match looking good. They do, but the problem is they have to get the players they need essentially for Clash of the Castle need to be out of those brackets like very quickly because they need to be able to set their new stories up like at the same time, unless they're going to use King of the Ring to obviously then do the story for Clash. But with that, they're risking it because they're risking basically not being able to announce like major matches potentially.
Too close.
For another 3 weeks, and with tickets, still not selling. The cheap ticket I just checked was £560 that I could find. For some tickets still not selling. One has to imagine they're going to want to announce something quite soon. And I've seen that Drew McIntyre has a match on Raw as part of King of the Ring, doesn't he? I think against Sheamus. I don't think.
No, it's Sheamus versus Gunther.
But Drew had a match, didn't they, against someone?
Maybe, but I remember seeing Sheamus and thinking that's a bit early. I think it was against Gunther.
King Queen of the Ring. I've definitely know that Drew had a match. On that. But it's one of those where you have to imagine. Was it Drew and Balor? Let's have a look.
Yeah, Sludge Sports says it's against Balor.
Yeah, Drew and Balor. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You have to imagine, and Gunther and Sheamus, you're right. Yeah, you have to imagine that they're going to want to be getting some of these people out. Well, someone obviously has to lose the first round, so someone out of Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, and you have to imagine those are potential players that want, to set up the main matches or whatever at Clash. Yeah. So they are creating that problem again in a weird way, and it's weird to say we've gone back to that after that massive gap. There's massive gaps we were having previously with the massive builds, and now obviously it's a case of we've got these international pay-per-views, and obviously and as well with Clash, the problem that's going to suffer from is Money in the Bank being so close to it as well, and it is just the more exciting event. So your bookend, they're in a weird position where, King and Queen of the Ring is it's a Saudi show as well, so they will have to give a lot of time to it. Whether again, the politics at the door, you have to accept the fact that Saudi pay much more money for their events than anyone else does. So you have to imagine that they will want and expect WWE to be putting a lot of time and effort into this King of the Ring. And so then WWE then got to start thinking about Canada and promoting Money in the Bank and the qualifiers and all that for them. Yeah. There is a possibility that Clash gets kind of lost in that kind of shuffle of people, there'll be a new King of the Ring around, and haven't they said that it comes with a prize this year or something? Don't they get like a title shot?
I didn't see that, no.
That's what I've heard. I don't know. I've heard multiple
things. What's the solution to that? Because, like you say, it could be too many international shows at once, and
the solution would be just if things just able to be spaced out. Like if Clash was maybe in September.
So what? Less shows or like international America? Because then the Americans would feel like, oh, we get the crappy shows, So.
No, because I think ultimately the main problem they've got with these are the gaps. They've got not enough time to promote the ones in between. If obviously they had 4 or 5 weeks between each one, there wouldn't be as much of a problem, right? In my opinion, because you'll be able to promote the new show the day after the last show finishes. But the problem they've got with this is they need to be able to promote Clash already.
Early, yeah.
They can't. Yeah. Unless they're going to do something, like I said, on Raw as part of these matches, or the people that get eliminated from some of these first round matches, and then they then go to set up something for Clash. But then that'll become the AEW problem, where they're trying to start too many stories all at once. and it might get a bit confusing for a television viewer or a casual viewer even as well. Because if
Mm.
you're a casual viewer of WWE and you just watch clips, and let's say 1 week you watch a clip, and the only clip you watch is the clip where they're setting up X match, then you fast forward the next couple of weeks, whatever, and you say, wait a minute, he's now not feuding with him, he's with someone else.
I mean, that's kind of been the way it was for the build-up for Backlash. You know, a lot of what happened
Yeah.
on Raw and SmackDown was completely like irrelevant to this show. And like you said, that's damaging because it feels like you're watching something for no reason. And you go into a PLE thinking, well, this doesn't actually matter to what I've been seeing. So it's a kind of shoot yourself in the foot either way sort of thing. A few comments here as well from a critic. Says, is it safe to say Triple H is going global in the sense that he wants world tours this year for PLEs and 2025 for PLEs? And talk about WrestleMania 2026 in London mental. I mean, it's true. Yeah, it looks like that's what he wants. And as you mentioned earlier on, Lucas, you know, coming to London for that NXT show, I think was that kind of testing ground. It should be no surprise, really, when we look back on it. The guy that was running NXT did something like that. Of course, by the time he got to the main show, he was doing this sort of thing. And it's not just within these kind of international shows, it's also showing up in his booking as well. Critic also says, hyping up fans, keeping fans glued to WWE, also take into account WWE's competitors. And Stud says, did you hear about the Gulak release? Yeah, we did hear about the Gulak release. Obviously, a bit of a tricky situation. Don't really know what happened there for real. It's a bit of a, you know, touchy one, to no pun intended. But yeah, it is what it is. Don't really know the story. So unfortunately, not much you can say about that. As far as an athlete or a competitor or an entertainer, he had a decent run at times, didn't he? But yeah, not much going on lately. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, going back to Triple H's visions for an international WWE. Look, again, I'm all for it. I think we're both just concerned that it might be a bit too much too soon and crammed in. And yeah, that's the worry for me. That like there's only so long you can go, oh, it's the first time we're here and the crowd are crazy. Like, because like we were the same in London, man. We sucked it into it as well. You know, we were going, look, listen to us. We're a great crowd, you know, even though we'd had Raws and SmackDowns before and a big contingency over there in the States for Mania, for example, and Clash as well, not too far to go. But realistically, all of these big PLEs, the fans are going to want to be like, we're the best crowd. They want to prove themselves, and I understand that, but eventually that will wear out if they keep giving them house show type cards. But not to say that the show weren't good. Again, it was a very good show. A critic says, does anyone know about the Kentucky House? Yeah, we haven't really we don't really know what's going on with that. Critic. They said there will be a WrestleMania, but they kind of just hinted more stuff. Let's just touch on a few more of these matches as well, Lucas. What did you think overall of the women's triple threat title match as well? Good showing for Tiffany Stratton. I mean, she seems to be improving and impressing more and more as whenever she gets airtime. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they tried to keep it a bit more exciting. Obviously having it be triple threat and having a triple threat, but I think. It wasn't really. I wasn't too invested in it too much. I think it was. I don't know what it is. I just felt the combination for me didn't do much for me, but I do think it had a good finishing stretch though. And the right person won, though it did. It was a very I think Tiffany
right on cue there.
Just love sports, so I think Tiffany's time will come. Pardon the pun. But I think now wasn't it. I think again, like. Particularly with us older fans, where we're used to seeing, you know, the rug be swept under, you know, from people. But I need respect in saying that Triple H didn't play dirty by not having on any of the posts, it seems. But anyway, I think, in times gone by, potentially a title change could have happened and a bounce back. But I think Triple H is about letting people, you know, show their worth kind of thing. I think also that in terms of presentation wise, it was very different, and for me, I don't know, I'm not a fan of the women all being friends. So
I was going to mention this actually because in the group chat, obviously we got our own little Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling group chat behind the scenes, and as soon as the ending happened, you said, why are they hugging? And I was like, well, they're both baby faces. So like but yeah, you weren't really a fan of that spot.
No, I don't get it. Like, I think Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, thing is, I think before, because everything with Vince was an angle. There was a reason for every single thing happening. Even if you didn't agree with every reason, there was a reason. And sometimes things got scrapped, but there was a reason why these things happened. And potentially, but the thing is, I think because Triple H is presenting it like these are just good wrestlers, and this is the new era of what we're doing.
Yeah.
But for me, there's still that part. Well, is it a storyline? Like, is there a storyline? He pretending to do this, then he's going to turn later on. This will be the reason why. Blah blah. That's what I'm expecting to happen, isn't it? But it just seemed this is just like, oh no, they are just friends. So Triple H said, yeah, we can like huggle, like shake. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, when you explain it like that, it does sound silly.
It takes me out of the match a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But the thing is, I'm one of those people where even when I go to the theatre, I get really annoyed, like when the cast come out, especially if it's been
break kayfabe.
Yeah, like especially if it's I know it's really bad, but like especially even last year, like I was just like, no, like you got to keep separation to an extent, you know what I mean? Like you can't be. I mean, maybe I'll take it a bit too seriously, but that's all part and part. But I know for me, it's just one of those things. I hope doesn't become an overly done kind of trope, and it looks like from that main event, it's not going to become. It's just this kind of thing. But yeah, I think overall the match, solid match. Takes a title defense off for Bayley. Yeah, we're not going to see it on pay-per-view for a few months, so
could be right.
Especially with Becky obviously holding the other belt. And if they tip this 5-match card, there's only so many spots for the women. We've got 5 matches. They're only going to get 1 or 2 of them. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a real shame in it. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we've said it time and time again. Bayley, incredible performer, did a lot for the, pandemic era. Didn't really get what she deserved after it, and she finally seems to be put in that spot, and it's not the spot that we hoped it would be, but we'll see how that goes. A critic says, done some digging, and WrestleMania 41 is going to be announced at the Kentucky Derby. Why, I don't know. Would make more sense to announce it actually on the WWE show. I guess they want to get more eyes, the eyes that are on Kentucky Derby, so apparently that's the way it's going down. So, but yeah, I thought it was going to be in the pre-show. It's just very confusing. This announcement is very... Yeah. Here we go. Breaking news. Las Vegas. It's just been announced. I've just seen it. April 19th and 20th, 2025. Wow, it is late. I mean, there were rumors that it was going to be in May, but that is it, mate. That is... How do you feel about that? Las Vegas. I'm going to get the logo up here very quickly as well, but how do you feel about the announcement, mate? Las Vegas.
So it's 2 nights again, I'm guessing.
2 nights once again. Yeah, I mean, it feels
which
right.
Date?
I think it was the 19th and the 20th.
That's Easter weekend. That's weird.
Is that going to be Easter next year?
Yeah, yeah. I remember checking that before. Easter's late next year. It's gone. Yeah, it's late.
Okay.
That's very interesting. If have you got confirmation on those dates or?
Yeah, it's on the logo. I'm going to get to you. 1 second. If I can get this up, it is on the actual logo itself.
Oh, this is breaking right in front of us.
This is breaking news. Yeah, this is it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on? First of all, what are your thoughts on Vegas?
Look, I have a weird opinion on Vegas, and weirdly, it's actually an opinion I kind of had on the place I'm in now, Dubai, and it's actually on my list to go to for this reason, as I built up a kind of hatred of these locations for whatever reason.
Right.
Like Dubai, I wrote off as this kind of like, influencer city. It's all fake. There's no history here, blah, blah. And a lot of these questions have been answered. And, again, this isn't a travel documentary, but I mean, but yeah, and the same with Vegas. I just think it screams tacky. It screams like bad taste. It screams.
Part of it is appeal, though, right?
Greedy and seedy and dirty and disgusting. And
whoa, calm down, mate.
And again, it has that same like kind of sort of fakeness to it. Because again, built in a casino town, built in the desert, the strip and all that. But this is interesting because going back to something we said ages ago about this, Endeavor, TK Holding, etc. This is very, very UFC. very, very UFC.
Exactly, yeah.
It feels like basically how they presented that kickoff show, which was in Vegas as well, that they will look to go down that kind of real sports presentation for the main events next year. I think ultimately we'll be looking at, if we are going to have The Rock and Roman Reigns, they will not be presented as like wrestlers, but I mean, it will be a wrestling match, obviously. But I think we'll be looking at them as athletes, you know, who will make appearances in front of the crowd, yes, but they will also make appearances at these kind of events. As you have to imagine, they did, you know, it was a very successful outing. They were able to ship, you know, 6 wrestlers out to talk on a stage for 2 hours, and we weren't mental for it. We had a stream for it, didn't we? And they're just thinking, well, it's just easy publicity. You know, we can just prop up 2,000 fans in an arena to watch 6 people talk for 2 hours, and not even have to bother having a wrestling match on. Here we are. Okay, so we have got that announcement. That's
a great logo.
It's a great logo. It's a fantastic logo.
That is a great logo. Yeah,
wow.
I mean, it just feels right, to quote Lita's theme song.
Yes.
When everybody was talking about it being at Minneapolis, you know, it seemed a Brock Lesnar thing, and while that's kind of a tricky situation, it would seem, they definitely seem to have stepped back recently. And the Vegas rumor has been swirling for at least, I don't know, 2 months now, 3 months. So it felt like it was inevitable, but now that it's here,
that kickoff show and the Endeavor thing, I think, just made Vegas seem so.
Yeah, it just ramped it up so much more quickly. But yeah, I mean, look, when I go to WrestleMania, right, I want to see the city or the state, right, and all the things you just said about Vegas, very much one side of it, and true. But then there's the other side of like, yeah, but it's Vegas, you know, like you want to go to, you want to see it once in your lifetime sort of thing. And for many wrestling fans, this is going to be their one opportunity to kind of hit 2 birds with one stone and do that. You know, I think a lot of wrestling fans are going to be a lot more tempted to go here than they would have been to, and sorry, Minneapolis, but let's be real, a lot of fans from outside the US and even in the US, I'm sure, are going to be kind of, their interest is going to be piqued by this. A few interesting notes around it as well. April 19th and 20th. So Luke is saying that is apparently when Easter hits next year as well. So that'll be that's well, it changes, mate. You know, so
you think the Christians are all going to like hype up Easter?
No. I'm not saying. No, what I'm saying is it changes every year. I don't know when it is yet. So I'm just saying, going on Lucas's. As the source there.
You can check it on Google.
It is. All right.
Jesus I remember Mania. When I went to church service on the real Easter this year, that it was it was said that Easter was late next year. The date.
Oh, okay. Burned in your brain.
Because I remember hearing it. Like, that's really late for Easter. But obviously it was really early a couple of years ago, wasn't it? It's really early.
Yeah.
A couple of years.
In March.
But next year it's going to be late. It's going to be. I think it's the latest it actually can be. Actually.
Oh, okay.
It's the third. Yeah, the third Sunday in April is the latest it can be. So it is literally the latest it can be. And Mania also, I think, is the latest it ever has been as well.
Yeah, sure. I don't think it's been later than that. It's definitely, I know the rumors were it might be early May, but like it's definitely not been as close to May as this, I don't think. So yeah, Matt.
Interesting to think about what they do then next year. Obviously, we've had Backlash now on the 4th of May.
Yeah.
Surely next year they can't do the same thing. They have to obviously have Backlash end of May. But then, and this is also interesting, is that AEW usually hold Double or Nothing, don't they?
That's the big thing. May. Yeah.
Or are they going to still do Las Vegas?
I was talking to Andy from Wrestling Royalty, of course, good friend of the channel, joins us every now and then for the build-up shows. And I said to him, like, this is stepping on AEW's toe. Well, he said that he had heard a rumor of early May as well. And even though it's not early May, it's still, as you say, at least 6 months out from when they usually do. Because they usually do it at the end of May, don't they? Double or Nothing. So, and it's got the Vegas theme. And now this is going to have obviously a Vegas theme. Why would you not? The WrestleMania Hollywood theme was fantastic. The Philly theme was good as well. So this is going to have, as we've seen from the graphic there, a very Vegas feel to it because it is in Vegas. And then Double or Nothing, as you imagine, are going to do the same thing 6 weeks after that. I'd assume. I don't know if the date's been announced for that, but let's just get into where it's actually based, as we saw on a graphic there as well. Allegiant Stadium. That is a fairly new stadium. It's built in. Well, they broke ground in 2017. They didn't open it up until 2020. What a time to open a stadium when no one could go anywhere. But so it's one of his first major events, I would imagine. It is now the home.
I think that would have been another appeal for WWE. I think there's a few appeals here for them. I think even outside the Lesnar thing, I think, to be fair, the Lesnar thing not happening would have actually just strengthened, I think, the case for Vegas anyway, because, again, UFC, Lesnar, like it was just been a perfect match. And, you know, there is obviously rumours and talks that, you know, Lesnar is potentially working his way, his stuff out, and that could all kind of, you know, come back for him later on. But, yeah, I think this feels, I mean, I just looked up the Minneapolis stuff. That would have been it was a US Bank Stadium. They seat about the same number. So It wasn't like, there wasn't really an edge there, but one would have to imagine. And again, this could have even have been from that kickoff event. Like I said, the fact that WWE, again, I can't get over the fact WWE propped up, you know, with like a week's notice. And look, we're in Vegas for this WrestleMania kickoff, 2,000 fans.
Yeah.
We're just happy to be there. Wasn't like a Wednesday night, wasn't it as well? Like Wednesday.
I think you're right. I mean,
a weekend.
The appeal in
Vegas
Vegas
went, oh wait a minute, these people are actually serious.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
it's that link, isn't it? UFC, TKO, as you were saying, you know, it's got to be something to do with it. And the Rock is a big part of it. Like, Cody Rhodes versus Rock looks like it might be the headline. We'll see how that goes. We've got a full year to speculate, guys. Subscribe to us at Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling to find out more. But look, capacity-wise, at the moment for the NFL, it's 65,000. Apparently expandable to 71,835. So not the biggest Mania we've had, which is crazy because we've hit some big numbers. Don't get me wrong, but like 70,000 is still an incredible number, and they'll do that in 2 days and they'll claim it as 140,000. Don't get me wrong, but really, I think exciting news really for wrestling fans to see that it's been announced as Vegas.
Yeah, I think, you know, I guess there will be some people that thought it would be London potentially, but you know, I kind of think that was just never on the cards.
There's got to be. It's a long way away.
WrestleMania. I mean, this is to be fair, this is WrestleMania 72,500 and 72,700 night 2. So I mean, it's not that far off. I mean, you have to imagine, depending on their set, they could maybe fit a few more in, and then they always bump it up anyway, don't they? Yeah, finally, wow, thank you, and thank God it's 9 minutes later. Oh wow, okay. We found that was announced on the Kentucky Derby show somehow.
Somehow.
We don't watch Kentucky or Derbies where we are. I'm near an Abu Dhabi, but we don't watch this kind of stuff here. It's the most random place. I'm sure for Americans it's probably not random because that's just what you do, isn't it? On the 4th of May. You just watch, you watch Backlash France, then you watch, you know, maybe that's part of your thing, isn't it? I mean, but to us Brits and probably most of the rest of the world, I want to say, we have a little bit of
a strange place for us to see it announced. Yeah, but like you say, maybe it's like watching the FA Cup final and getting a big breaking news that there'll be something in England or something like that.
Yeah, so it's really odd, but I think we can't dismiss the fact that it's in Vegas. It tick boxes a lot of stuff that Mania needs to exist, and it brings it to a place where international fans in particular, and like you say, vacationing fans get to tick off like 2 birds with one stone. Get to go to Mania and go to Vegas. Go and visit the Las Vegas Sphere.
There you go. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Like Mania, if guys, if you're watching, you haven't been to Mania, it is, or just a WWE show, really, it's another level, and I would recommend it. But it ain't cheap if you're from this side of the world. So, like, to fit it in with a holiday, you might be thinking one day I'd always like to go to blah blah blah, and that blah 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 being Vegas, which I think a lot of people wouldn't mind going to Vegas anyway. Like you say, I think it is that kind of two birds, one stone situation. So, yeah, I look, it tempts me a bit more. So there's that, and watch this space. I know Andy from Wrestling Royalty again was already looking at hotels earlier on because the rumors have been going around. So yeah, we'll have to see. But either way, whether or not we're there, Lucas, we'll be covering it right here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. So stick with us, of course. Going to get to a few of these comments here as well. I felt that Backlash was very early in the calendar. Yeah, I guess it was, right? I guess, or sometimes it depends when Mania is, I guess, right? So Lucas firing shots on Vegas, I guess. Feeling on the new Bloodline. Yeah, I'm a fan of it. I like Tangaloa. I like Guerrillas of Destiny. I thought it was really cool, but I do think, I don't want to say it fell flat. You know what? I think if he came out with the face paint on, like they wore as a tag team, it would have been easier to understand what was going on. But
I don't think maybe the French fans knew who he was. I think,
yeah,
and I think as well, we are overdone with this like random person coming out,
and it's always the same minute. They put out the leg, pull off the hood. You know, like Solo Sikoa did the same thing. And I think out the two of them, I have to be honest, Tamatonga is the more recognizable figure. He was the bigger name out the two of them. So him coming in,
the thing is, he was Solo. He debuted on an international pay-per-view, didn't he?
Clash. Yeah.
You know, in Wales. And so I don't know. Maybe this is a Triple H thing, debuting people outside their country village.
Yeah. Well, but again, when there's hardly any PLEs in the States, you got to do it at some point, right? So that's probably what it is. Cody says, "Look how good the 30,000, how loud, 30,000 front fans was Triple H stayed in Gorilla. We had to shout. It was incredible. Obviously, we saw that post that Triple H put up of the on SmackDown where he's warning on his watch was saying, look, the decibels are too high. You need to kind of get out of there and seek safety because it's too loud, essentially. So cool, man. Look, I've been involved with similar crowds here in London and at Mania, and great for the French fans. I thought they were fantastic. And again, also at that kickoff show that we saw as well. Dirty Dom having a thing for Liv is kind of perfect because Liv is more psychotic and would be a great link between them. Yeah, be interesting to see where they go with that. I was really up for this kind of storyline until I've seen a few people last week or so on X saying they're not really a fan of it. So it'd be interesting to see how this really plays out because obviously it's going to take some time now with Dom being injured and Rhea being injured. I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on the actual story anytime soon, but I'm a big fan of what they're doing in the background as far as this kind of, did you see them come out of the same locker room in the background of that shot? You know, I like stuff like that. I think it's been pretty cool. Sludge says, I've been to Vegas many times, so I'll be probably going. Sludge, have some fun out there if you do go, buddy. And Haku's Bloodline has returned. It is very much that side of the tree.
The sad thing is he can probably still go. And
let's bring Haku back. Yeah, but look.
But you know what, Scott? Like, we are now an hour and 15 minutes almost into this, and we have not mentioned the current and still the current world heavyweight champion, Damian Priest.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show, sadly, that he's not the guy.
See, I found the match entertaining, but I think it was exactly what we said it would be on the build-up show of like wrong timing for both of them. Like it just weren't enough. It felt like a US title match.
Yeah.
A very good US title match. Don't get me wrong. But and I don't know whose fault.
Yeah, like if we follow our NXT formula, like I said earlier, you know, where you'd have had the you'd have had the men's tag team title match on first, then you would have gone into, the women's match, which second, then you would have gone into this, the US title match or the North American title match.
Yeah.
Like, this would fit perfectly. But to position this as, in my opinion, as a world heavyweight championship match, just not sold on it. I think, Jade did much better. This is a much better showing than the money against his brother, don't get me wrong. But we were falling into the tropes that they've had for a long time with villain champions, in that they're just not allowed to win without loads of stuff happening.
Yeah.
And it worked for things with Roman. And people will say, "Oh, Roman did it for ages." He did, but only after he had done like a lot of stuff like to build up. He'd done the whole like stacking Edge and Daniel Bryan on top of each other. To beat them at his first. Mad to say that was the first WrestleMania main event he did that.
Yeah.
And then he had done like the stuff against Kevin Owens and all that kind of stuff. And then he started having the formula that they used for the last year and a half of Bloodline member runs out, stops babyface from hitting their big finish. Roman does a spear and wins. Like even before that, remember very early on we had the guillotine era, didn't we, of Roman Reigns? We were using the guillotine choke, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty much he's beating people straight away with it. So they built that up quite a lot. But Damian Priest's first title defense, he's got half the locker room coming.
Too much, yeah. It was way too. Again, it was weird. It was like this one and. What was the other one I said about earlier? Oh, the Bloodline match as well. Like it was like the third match in a series. Both of these matches felt like that. It felt like while it gave us an entertaining match on both sides, I just felt like it was too much going on for to establish the Bloodline and establish Damian.
Well, didn't you? Established on the main, then you had a triple threat. That's which is no rules. No rules.
Yeah.
Stuff. So it just feels a bit sometimes like you're not getting enough just pure wrestling kind of thing, or you're not getting enough just between the ropes, because there seems to be that insistence that every match has to go outside now. It's like you can't have a match just inside the ring anymore. You have to go outside at some point. And then not just that, it's just like you have to go outside, you have to go off the table, you have to use the ring steps, or you have to use the turnbuckles, or fight in the crowd, or something. It can't just stop at like, oh, we'll do a dive, then get back in the ring. It's like, no, it has to be like half the match now is outside the ring. Yeah. And, we're all just like watching it. Oh, okay, we just like, but
yeah, it can't be like that with that. Yeah, it's too many matches are doing that sort of thing.
And I think it's more in weird ways, more noticeable on a smaller card, because we're talking about two matches on a 5-match card. That's 40% of the show, though. Still.
Yeah, but again, it's tough because it is entertaining. Like I did enjoy both of those matches, but again,
it is.
Like,
but I think
storyline wise,
it's diminishing returns though.
Yeah,
and people will now just come to expect it, and it'll be harder for them to get people to care about when the rules actually matter, because the rules never seem to do, because they always give matches stipulations where there are no rules.
Yeah,
when there are rules enforced, people will start going, well, wait a minute, why does this have to matter now? Why can't this not just have no rules? It's a bit like with cage matches, and why it's good that they go away sometimes is because obviously the whole point of that stipulation, that gimmick is obviously to keep people out. But every match, as we know, every cage match that ever happens, someone enters the ring,
tries to get in,
or the door opens, or do you know what I mean? Like, or we do the cage break thing they did about 10,000 times.
Yeah,
people go get pushed through the cage or whatever, and so it's good they go away, so you forget about it and then come back. But then you can say the same thing about ladder matches as well. They do tend, it's like, why is there now a table involved in a ladder match? It's a ladder match, you can't win by going through a table, but they're entertaining spots, aren't they? But it is just a case of just finding that balance, But yeah, I think in terms of this, again, this did show for me at the Judgment Day. Yeah, for me, it's done. I think, for everyone, there are people probably on Twitter tonight saying, oh, we look forward to when Finn Balor turns his back on Damian Priest. Like, why? It's been like 2 years.
Yeah, that was something that should have maybe happened 6 months ago. Even though, I really enjoy what happened at the end of WrestleMania. I think, again, as we said on the build-up show, this is a really confusing time. And I feel bad for him. Rhea's injured and whatever else, but it just doesn't feel the same. They're clearly going some sort of thing of like Damian doesn't want the help, but he needs the help. But like you say, it was mad for him to need that help straight away. It was so damaging to him. I get the story they're telling. Yeah, the story they're telling makes sense, but not at this stage. It was just very weird. A few comments here.
Tonight, I'm thinking that it seems Drew's already he's already able to compete, obviously, and Punk can't be too far off. Like, are they literally going to do? Let's have maybe Drew win King of the Ring the next night on Raw and say, look, I want the title shot, and just do
get
it
rid of it quickly. Yeah,
do it straight away. Have loads of shenanigans outside the Judgment Day. Damian Priest, focuses on them too much, walks back and everything, eats a claim or 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Then Drew raises the thing up. Punk's music hits. Then it issues a stare down, and the point to the Clash of the Castle sign. There should be one, by the way. If not, make one.
Point at the castle.
And that's your main event sort of a clash.
Yeah.
Drew and Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship.
And what does it do for the Judgment Day as well? An incredible story gets diminished in this kind of non-title match between two people that, okay.
So this is where we are sometimes missing Vince's ruthlessness with this. Obviously Vince went over the top with it, as we know. He was a big fan of any tag team that it didn't sell enough t-shirts. That weren't called the New Usos. That was it.
Yeah.
You were getting split up. One of you be released, and one of you would end up on main event. For the rest of eternity. But I think this is where Triple H maybe needs to. I know maybe he obviously had a thing with Rhea because he basically thinks she's a new China, I guess. But I think just maybe Triple H has got to kind of let it go. Just I think you're always better off splitting these things once they're at this point. I can't see really how you now reinvigorate interest in them. And they're always just going to be that kind of again, and they're victim in some ways of their own success because they get lots of TV time. And they get lots of time to do their thing, and now it's not really working. Are you going to still allow them
the same TV? Yeah.
Again,
like we said earlier on the build-up, it's just that it's unfortunate because not only they've got the injuries to contend with, but the Punk and Drew thing is just so much more entertaining and just seems so much more worthy of the world title. So it is unfortunate because this is the kind of split that you feel like this team doesn't deserve. They deserve it all to be exploding in an incredible main event of a PLE, but it doesn't feel like anyone kind of sees it as needing that at the moment. So we'll have to see. There might be a turn it around and maybe the Punk Drew thing goes in another direction without the title, but we'll figure it out. A critic says, imagine the Bloodline new leader is Haku. That would be pretty cool. I'd like that. And Vortex says, I want Dirty Dom to turn at WrestleMania because The Rock had the same thing when he turned back to babyface. Everyone loved him, which would be Dominic too. Yeah, I think Dominic's got, it's funny, isn't it? When you get these major heels, the more over they get as a heel, the bigger it will be when they become a babyface. So I think he's going to be, as much as he was loved when he was a babyface with his dad, I think he's going to be a massive babyface in the future because of his incredible heel run. And Critic says also, so as all the extreme spots, bring back jumps off the Titantron. We'll see. I don't think WWE is going to go that far with Attitude Era booking, but hey, we'll see. Cody Rhodes turning heel will be cool. I do think that's about to happen at some point. Not anytime soon, though, because money.
Just got the email, by the way, about WrestleMania. It is on that weekend.
Yeah.
They're already doing the pre-register stuff for WrestleMania 41 tickets. So, when it moves, isn't it? Into WWE, it seems. When it moves, and we're now in a weird way, it's like we now know the end goal again. Which is why it was a bit unsatisfying for me anyway, and lots of other people, I guess, not knowing that, at WrestleMania this year. We usually get that out, but now as part of the WrestleMania.
At Mania, yeah.
At Mania. And then you already kind of, when obviously this year's was announced as Philadelphia, everyone went straight for Heyman Hall of Fame, ECW stars, somewhat featuring on the card, but that didn't really happen. But, Bubba Ray was a guest ref, but you kind of get up for it. And also Minneapolis was very much tied to Brock Lesnar. And his retirement or, a big match, him versus Gunther, whatever it might be. And now Las Vegas. And it just really fits the Rock and Roman build. It just really fits. And again, they can link in the fact they had the kickoff thing there last year, and we're going to probably do another one next year. Yeah, I think it is possibly the best possible announcement from WrestleMania they could have come up with, and I'm saying that even as a Brit and as someone we'd want it to be over here, and I know that some people might feel a bit betrayed potentially, or like, you know, there are some people out there that think WWE owes WrestleMania. But, you know, I think it's if it's going to happen, like, we just got to be patient. Like, you know, people like me and you know, again, going back from Rebellion and Insurrection Day, you know, to where we are now, where we are actually upset at only getting Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
You know, and having to, you know, potentially for this year, it seems anyway, for England, it just seems we are going to have to
shut it up.
Yeah, just chug up and be like, okay, well, but you know, you can get to Berlin for like 50 quid.
Yeah,
if you want,
that's
you know?
it. Yeah,
Tickets, obviously, other buy tickets, but you know, you know, these places aren't like out of reach, you know, anymore. And you know, if you're after alternative content, obviously AW are at Wembley, but there are like a plethora of British wrestling promotions out there, you know, that are happy to enjoy your custom essentially, you know, and lots of fans will be happy to be watching. And again, that goes from your progresses, your Red Pros, United W, etc., all the way down to shows obviously at a more local level. So there's a lot of wrestling, you know, out there. You know?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of wrestling we'll be covering going forward as well with WWE.
Yeah, we're very busy, aren't we? We'll be doing predictions every week, it seems.
It's going to be a mad, like you say, what is it, 6 to 8 weeks or something ridiculous where we've got about 17 PLEs coming up. But yeah, we'll be hitting you hard with all the shows as well.
Yeah, Triple H has confirmed another pay-per-view has been added.
What?
You didn't know that was a joke or not? That's how scary it is.
I thought we were going to Switzerland all of a sudden.
Well, that would make sense for money in the bank, actually, wouldn't it?
Hey, very clever, very clever.
They've got any at the moment.
But yeah, no, as you say, it's going to be thick and fast on this channel as far as predictions go and streams as well. It's been a real good time tonight, guys. We've been able to. Well, I say we. Poor old Lucas is out there in another country. He hasn't even got to watch this in a European time frame. But yeah, it's been
still better. It's only now 1:20, so it's still.
Oh, that's not too bad. It's still better than it would be if it was. Yeah, an American show. Going to get to a few of these comments before we get out of here. Vortex says, I love WWE more now because if someone says, you know it, they really make it where everyone is known. It doesn't need to be a superstar to be known. And fun fact, Randy Kofi did a triple threat in 2010. I think Kofi messed up and it cost him the Money in the Bank. The Money in the Bank, of course, coming to, that's the one that's going to be in Canada, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be interesting to see.
And NXT the same weekend, actually, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and NXT starting to pick up as well. We're going to have to try and cover that a little bit more on this channel as well. But thank you, everyone that's tuned in tonight, whether it be on our build-up show or here on the Instant Reaction Review. And whether you're watching live or on demand, we really do appreciate your support. Subscribe if you haven't already. And please drop us some comments again, even if it is on demand that you're viewing this, to let us know what you thought of Backlash and what you think of things like the WrestleMania announcement as well. We're going to be back again for the next PLE, which is King and Queen of the Ring. We'll do our build-up show, hopefully, as we tend to do for these big shows, where we get ourselves and yourself up and excited and ready and in the mood for the PLE as well. It's been a good weekend, man. I've really enjoyed watching this, and again, at a reasonable time. It's been fun. We're going to get more opportunities to do that throughout the next few months. If you're from the States, apologies, but you now know how we feel, I guess, in some way. But either way, wherever you're joining us from around the world, we really do appreciate it. From over here in England to over there in Dubai, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. Lucas, have you got anything else you want to say before we get out of here, mate?
No, I think that's it, to be fair. We'll see you again, guys, in a couple of weeks' time to predict, obviously, want to know a bit more about the King and Queen of the Ring, which, again, like we said, is a show that benefits us in the UK. And it is so weird and ironic that I am currently in the Middle East while
and you're coming back.
But I know I'll actually be in Paris.
No way! No way!
Oh yeah, I'll be in Paris that week. So yeah.
All right. So when is what's the next one? Clash? Are you going to be in Germany? And then Bash in Berlin, you're going to be in Nova Scotia.
I'm actually at Bash in Berlin.
All right, then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's just weird that's how it's worked out.
You're doing a bit of a back to front world tour, but
But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, look, I'm looking forward to it. Let's bring it on.
Brilliant. All right. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining me, Lucas. And again, thank you to everyone that's watched live or on demand. I've been Scott. This one's been Lucas. We've been the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Bye for now.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.